Hello, everyone. Today we have a very special guest, Konstantinos, on our podcast. We call him Kosta. So, today we're going to talk about some very interesting stuff. And some of the topics that we want to delve into are more focused on video marketing, some of the, in terms of why stories work, what's a good business story, why is a story even necessary. So, these are some of the things that we're going to talk about. Um, I will allow Costa to introduce himself to you in more detail, talk about his journey, what he specializes in. So over to you, Costa. How are you doing?
Sure. Thanks a lot for having me on the show. I appreciate it. So I started this in 2012. That's when I started Board Studios. That's my company. And we started by working with companies to tell their stories. Just the easy way to think about it, it's videos that you see on websites or on emails, in emails, embedded in emails or on YouTube. So we started in 2012 uh, by doing whiteboard animations inspired by some great whiteboard animation companies at that time. Since then, we have evolved and we're doing pretty much any type of video. Our main differentiation is that we're not video people, we are business people so we're not video people doing business, we're business people doing video. So my background is not in video at all. I was investment banking, private equity, consulting, and then I invested in a startup that needed an explainer video. I saw what's wrong with the production process, and I said, let me start a production company for explainer videos for business people to get exactly what they need. Which is not a pretty video; it's an effective video, and that's how we differentiate ourselves. We write the scripts, we make sure that the storytelling is there. There's a lot of theory that goes behind the CSA, cognitive dissonance, and all that stuff. So we want to make sure we break the barriers that your viewer has in order to be able to receive a message.
Perfect. So that's quite interesting. So let's kind of get into this, right? So uh, one of the things that after looking at your profile and everything, I wanted to talk about how video marketing has transformed over the years, right? So the reason I ask this is because marketing itself has transformed so much, right? And some level of video marketing has been there, right? In the form of television or whatever that was. How is that now transformed? How is it different now? How has it changed? If you can take us through that a little bit, that'd be great.
There's been a very interesting evolution in video marketing. Initially, videos lived on websites above the fold to engage somebody and try to drive conversions. That was in the early 2010s to 2015. And then video SEO came about where people started putting videos on YouTube. They started getting a lot of rankings and a lot of traffic because after Google bought YouTube, they started indexing videos. So for certain keywords, when you search on Google, you would have at the very top videos. So you could compete. So typical SEO, you compete against everybody else with blog posts or white papers or other content. However, it's extremely competitive. So what you end up doing is going after long-tailed keywords, the least competitive ones, in order to get some traffic. And that's a lot of work in order to build it and maintain it. And over time, it works, but it's a big investment. Instead, what the smarter people in marketing were doing was turning to video because for the same keywords, they can create a video and it's not nearly as competitive, so they can essentially leapfrog the competition. Whereas for a very competitive keyword with a lot of traffic, high keyword difficulty, if you wrote a blog post, it would appear on page 3 or 4, which means you can get any traffic. The same exact content as a video would appear on the front page of Google because there weren't that many videos for these keywords. And there is still a lot of opportunity even today, and that's why you see a lot of people who are doing SEO. They're also turning to video and converting a lot of their articles, their blog posts into video. So video marketing evolved from being essentially explainer videos to being more SEO driven videos. And now I've seen a lot more. The direction where they're going is the storytelling video. So it's not about telling somebody; it's more share. Essentially, it's sharing opinions and facts, uh, but in a wrapper of a story. So you have to give context and make it more relatable in order to break through the noise. There is now too much video, obviously with TikTok, YouTube, short stories, Facebook. So in order to break through, if you create a video, you have to really engage and resonate with your audience, and the best way to do that is storytelling. That's what we are shifting ourselves to. to be much more storytelling driven. And that's where the big differentiation comes in, because we're not a video company that started with a specific product. We are evolving with the market as business people. We see what businesses need, and then we figure out a video solution that delivers that. So there's more interactivity, storytelling, all these drivers, and AI will play a big role in the next few years.
Perfect. So, while we were on this question, there's just one thing I wanted to also kind of emphasize on. You spoke about storytelling, right? Because when you talk about video marketing, storytelling is it comes with it, right? So, why do you think storytelling is very essential? Why is that become so much a part of our marketing activity now?
It's just that we're missing a lot of context. So there is a lot of research that has happened, and there are many examples. I can share a few just to give you a better idea of why storytelling works. So they did some research back a few years back on Super Bowl videos, and they saw that the ads that perform the best are not the ones that have the cute puppy or something funny or entertaining. It's the one that tells a story. And story has very specific components in order to qualify as a story. Or the other example, there was a project where two researchers would go into thrift, yard sales and pick 100 items, and they would pay on average like $2, and then they would put them on eBay with a story, and they would get $100 for each item, something like that. Um, or there is another one where, the story of the homeless person who is blind on the side of the street, and he says, "I'm blind, please help," and nobody's helping him. So then I think it was a French poet that walked by, and the blind person asked, "Can you help me?" The French poet said, "I'm very poor. I can't help you, but what I can do is I can write your sign." He changed the sign, and he changed it from "I'm blind, can you help me?" to "Spring is coming, I won't be able to see it." And that immediately created a context that related to everyone who was passing by, and many, many more people started giving him money. So it's the whole idea of creating something relatable and building context so that we actually care about the information. If I a message and I just give you information and I tell you, this thing is better because X, Y, Z, you have this problem, I have this solution, you're getting sold to. And whenever I give you opinions and facts like that, you push back. Naturally, what I say, what seems logical to me, may not be logical to you because you have a different experience. But if I tell you a story, here's what happened to a client who did XYZ and how we helped them, or here's a challenge that I saw somebody down the street had and how I helped him. A story that avoids the pushback, and that's the big difference. Logic invites pushback, story avoids pushback. And what it helps you do is capture attention, then influence behavior, and then transform. And why you influence behavior is because once you start telling a story, there is this element of co creation. When somebody gets into the story, they start creating the visuals. They start identifying with the hero. So their actions start mirroring the hero's actions. And that's how you transform the audience and you call them to action. Versus if you tell them, you have this problem, you have to do ABC, they will instinctively they will say no, or they will start researching other solutions. Whereas if you approach it with a story, they won't research it. They're along for the ride. They will absorb the information and they will turn to you like the guide who can solve their problem.
Right. I think that's quite interesting, isn't it? And do you feel that a lot of organizations have figured this out, or do you think it's still something that organizations trying to figure out in terms of what they can do with video marketing and storytelling?
Surprisingly, a lot of people are talking about storytelling. It's been around as a concept, and people have been writing books since 2018. I want to say that's when it became really hot. I haven't seen. So obviously, there are some big agencies that do these 30-second commercials that are very emotional and tell a story and they're successful. They have figured that out. However, in a B2B enterprise environment where we are more focused on, I don't think almost anybody has figured out how to incorporate story-powered selling into their organization. There is a lot of pushback. Uh, there are a lot of legacy structures that you have to fight with. They buy into the idea, but either the execution is wrong or they falter because they can't corral the organization behind them. And the execution wrong being, what I mean by that is when you do storytelling, you don't want to do the sappy Super Bowl type storytelling in a B2B environment. Storytelling has to be very effective. And that's what many people are afraid of. When they hear storytelling, they think, oh, I have to be emotional, how I'm going to deliver this. People don't care, they don't have time. And that's all correct. Storytelling is not about being super emotional, it's about telling a very practical story that conveys the value. So you want to bridge the value gap between your client's problem and your solution. There's a value gap that they won't believe you if you just tell them this is the value I deliver, buy this. You have to tell a story. Like if you mention a company name, uh, they were doing this. Or actually, the better structure is identify a personal goal that your audience has. So if you say, my audience is this accounting executive, and you say they have a personal goal. Let's say the personal goal is they want fitness or health or some or family or something like that. And then what is the villain of the story? What's holding them back? It's because so if somebody wants to get fit and they wants to dedicate certain time of day, but because of their work, because of how unstructured it is, and the queries that come in all the time, they can't focus on this. Here's the solution. So if you make it that way, you want to initially you tell the story to really resonate with the audience, and they say, yes, I have this problem, or I can relate to it, or I really understand it, and it shows that the person delivering the story really understands them. Then the villain of the story is common, and then the solution comes in without any pushback. And that's not something sappy that invites like very emotional behavior. It's just that it creates the context that relates it to you.
Right. So that brings to a that makes me wonder whether a B2B storytelling is more challenging than a B2C storytelling. Is that what do you think
It's
about that?
it's different. It's not challenging. It's different, and people have taken the B2C storytelling and tried to apply it to the setting, and obviously it doesn't work, and nobody wants to do it. So they have to change it, adapt it, and then it can work really, really well. There are many examples in many books and research, but you have to explain to the organization exactly what you're doing, and then you have to execute it. Another problem is that many people take the easy way out and they do keynote speech or workshop, and they're done. So if I go to an enterprise or account executives and I say, here's why storytelling works, you have to identify the problem, the villain, and deliver the solution like you're the guide. And then I leave them with that. It can be a very inspiring presentation, but then there is no follow through. And that's where they die out. So
Right.
I don't know many agencies that do this. We are the only ones perhaps that do this, where we actually go in and we'll interview and script everything. In a video, you have to script the story. Otherwise, it's very difficult for somebody who is not a professional speaker or a professional on camera video person to deliver a story effectively. So you have to do a lot of interviewing to uncover the stories, scripting to figure out exactly how to tell the stories, and then training for them to deliver the stories. And then where the video comes in is to scale and help them, disperse them to more people.
Right, and that's quite interesting, right? I mean, um, you know, in terms of, I think in my experience a little bit with B2B marketing, I see that obviously the stories have to be told differently, and your audience also kind of changes a little bit over there. Not a little bit, it's quite significantly there, right? And I think some of the things that you spoke about are really good pointers for us to kind of delve into further to see how video marketing can really help us. This also brings to me to my next question in terms of what are the top marketing challenges companies are usually facing right now, like in 2022, right? And how do you kind of address those generally? And how is video marketing also helping in that case? So if you can take us through that in terms of the current challenges, that'll be great.
Yeah, the ones that I've seen. So the challenges that I've seen are that it's that value gap. There is still a value gap between client has a problem, I have the solution. How do I break through the noise? And how do I engage them effectively? And they try to do that with a lot of content, white papers, blog posts, even video content. Um, the correct approach, they needed the correct approach to video uh, in two, and what I mean by that is twofold. One, you need the right strategy in terms of how to incorporate the right storytelling to tell the right stories and engage and break through the noise. So you have to convert maybe your white papers, maybe your case studies. And it's not just taking an excerpt from a case study and having somebody, an actor, videotape to deliver that. That's what many people do, and I don't think that's as effective. We have to tell the story. If it's a white paper, Why did we decide to write about the white paper? Interview the researcher. What did they find? What surprised them? You want to identify the interesting things that provide the context that make the white paper memorable. It's not just the facts, because if you give me the facts may be powerful, but I'm going to forget them next week. If you wrap them around a story that makes them interesting and controversial, I will remember that much, much longer. So
Right.
that's the thing is figuring out the right strategy to deliver all the content you need to your clients in order to engage them correctly. And the other one is to do it cost effectively. So unfortunately, video is very expensive, and cost stops a lot of companies from using it.
Right.
So you have to work with people who can figure out cost effective solutions that are scalable for your. So if your goal is top funnel, maybe you need thought leadership videos. So maybe instead of hiring an agency to produce your thought leadership videos, there are many companies that hire agencies to write these things. Maybe you need to train people, and maybe you need to come up with asynchronous ways to prompt your AEs or other people in your organization with questions, and then they record a quick video. So there is a lot of training, using the right platforms, and having streamlined solutions, processes, in order to make video cost effective so it can deliver the results that you want. And that's the second big challenge with video. So to your question, in terms of the challenge I've seen for companies for 2022 and probably beyond, is that they're focusing a lot on putting out a lot of content, but there is content saturation. And in order to break through, you need to convert a lot into video, but the correct video, meaning how to wrap facts and opinions in stories, and then how to create a scalable and cost effective process to create those.
Right. And that's a very good point that you've made in terms of cost, right? So I'm just wondering, if you're a startup or a small business, right? Is there a way they can do this effectively, or should they even do it, or at what stage should they kind of start off with video marketing, if you're a small company?
I think you can start right away as a startup. It just changes the scope of how you can engage an agency like ours in order to help you figure things out. So it can be it will probably be the initial the strategy part is very important, but then it may be more heavy on training in order to bring things in house. So instead of us interviewing an expert, writing the script, and then sitting with them to interview them, capture the video, edit, maybe we provide the training so that the VP interviews the CEO, and then we use a platform so they can send the videos to the cloud, so our editor can do it without any interference from a project manager. So there are ways to streamline the process more and more, and you can do that. You can do it as a startup very cost effectively. It's just a matter of saying, this is the process. You will interview, you will send the video there, or you will use this platform to capture it automatically, and it automatically sends there. And this is the format of the videos, and you get it in 2 days, or we upload it automatically, and you can scale that very, very well, very cost effectively. So it's for everyone. However, most companies shy away from video because they work with agencies that are videographers. And if it's a videographer, they're used to doing something. I have videographers that I ask them to evolve. I have editors that they have to evolve, or I hire different people. I'm not tied to a specific solution. If you are tied to a specific solution and you're used to doing something one way, you have to evolve. Otherwise, you won't be able to, help the smaller companies. And video is becoming more and more cost effective. We are out in the market doing this. So if you're working with an agency that is not doing this, you're going to be at a disadvantage because clients will be able to scale much more effectively.
Absolutely, and I think this kind of helps a lot of our customers too. We at Ondeco work with a lot of startups,
Mhm.
and small companies, and I believe what some of the pointers that you gave would definitely help them. At least I think this podcast, this session itself is going to be very valuable, because we have never had somebody who spoke about video marketing, and there's a lot of very good points that you're making here, and I think it's going to be very valuable to some of our audience. Um,
And share an example that may be valuable to your audience too, because we are working with a few startups right now, specifically, and it doesn't have to be video that's external all the time. So you don't have to think about how do I drive traffic with video. It can be for your onboarding. So, for example, how do you make a cost-effective video for onboarding and culture? We use a platform, we train them, and they go and they interview their employees, or maybe they do. mock situations. There are they're in retail spaces, they have retail locations, and they say, "Oh, how do you handle a difficult client?" Okay, let's role play that, and we show them exactly how to do it on their own. And when they do it on their own, we just do some light editing, and they can get that done very cost effectively. So there are solutions out there that can be very impactful, and then if you want to, you can show some of these externally, so that
Yes,
potential clients learn how you behave towards your employees.
absolutely. Costa, very good points here. Um, I this is a question that I ask most of our guests. It's a little out of context, but I think it kind of relates to what we do in our daily life. So, I asked this question around what book has influenced you the most and why. The reason is that, a lot of the books that we read and materials that we go through influences our work life, especially in what we do every day. So,
Mhm.
if you could tell us what book has influenced you the most, I'm sure there are a couple of them, and why it has helped you or influenced you, it'll be great.
Yeah, can I give you a few?
Sure.
So it's actually I can give you, yeah. So the reason I can give you a few is because we actually have a side project where we read and summarize books in a video format. So
Oh.
I read a lot of books. So one of them that's very relevant now is Stories That Stick by Kindra Hall. Um, Another one that's similar is Seven Stories Every Salesperson Must Tell, and that's by Mike Adams.
Mhm.
And then a third one is Sales Secrets by Brandon Bornancin. And so I can talk about each of them. The Stories That Stick talks more about uh, the few store. So it simplifies the storytelling framework for businesses. The Seven Stories by Mike Adams uh, goes perhaps a step further and gives many more examples of these stories. And the Sales Secrets essentially is a compilation of a podcast, I believe, and they have 5-page summaries with the key secrets by sales experts. And I found that very, very useful. And the one tip I would say is don't read books just because they're good books. Read books based on what your needs are at that moment in
Yes.
time. So when I was starting my business, I read Zero to One and Innovator's Dilemma. So those were super helpful for me. Now, when we're much more into storytelling, I'm reading about storytelling books. And because we're scaling our business, I'm reading the Sales Secrets. So that was very relevant. But if you pick up Sales Secrets, it's like a tome, it's like 500 pages. If you just pick it up because you're interested in business, you're not going to find it relevant.
Right. So some good books there. I'm myself going to, I always make a note of these books, and my last guest also, she had a couple of books to recommend. So I'm going to make a note of these here. Um, okay. So coming back to video marketing, since you spoke about this, what are the top three ingredients to build a good B2B video marketing strategy as of today? What are the top three things that you will put in there as ingredients to make it successful?
That's a good question. I would say first, understand your audience really, really, really well. And that's something that most people skip, and they need a lot of work figuring out exactly what will resonate with their audience. Once you understand your audience, everything becomes much, much easier. We're working with many companies, and it's very, very difficult to understand your audience to the detail that you need to. So, for example, if I say, this accounting executive, he needed to become a triathlon person. Will that resonate with them? Yes, if you understand them. But if you don't know exactly what details to bring in. So the more details you bring into your strategy, it will inform your strategy, but it will also inform the execution in terms of the stories you tell. So one is understanding your client. Second is figure out exactly what your goal is with video marketing, but also it applies to any type of marketing. And third, what are your calls to action? I would say these three ingredients will take you a long way. They're not the only ingredients, but these are the three ingredients that I've seen miss from a lot of strategy executions I've seen.
Perfect. And since our platform is a two-sided platform, right? We have customers and we also have freelancers on the other side.
Hmm.
If there are aspiring freelancers who want to become great video marketers, Do you think there is scope in doing so? And how do they become great video marketers?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. One of them, I would invite freelancers to work with us. We're more than happy to share work, and there are things. So, video marketing, the good and the bad thing is that it involves a lot of different components. So, a freelancer can become an expert in one component, and then an agency like ours may work with them, or a company directly may work with them, because a lot of companies, when they scale their video operations, they try to in house everything or outsource to freelancers instead of agencies, and we welcome that, and we actually show them how to do that. So when you do video marketing, you need to do somebody may be a videographer, another person may be an editor, another person may be a video SEO expert, another person may just upload on social media channels. Uh, when you're uploading, you have to figure out the thumbnails, the titles, meta tags, or you can be the script writer. It depends on where you want to be involved, how early you want to be involved with the client, how much involvement you want from the client, and what are your skills, obviously. So if you're somebody who is very good with writing words, then it's just a matter of shifting your focus in terms of learning how to structure a great story and making it practical in a B2B setting. So it's not just storytelling. So don't read general storytelling books. Don't follow, the general storytelling podcasts. Focus on the ones that are B2B enterprise sales driven, and then you will figure out exactly how to guide your client towards crafting the right story, and you can help them with that. So there are many, many opportunities in video marketing, and especially since it's growing so fast.
Right. And do you think this skill is something that you can build over time, or is it something that, I always associated something to do with storytelling and video marketing or video creating videos itself. You need to have certain set of skills. You think very differently, right, than other people. Do you think is this a skill that you can build over time? What do you think about that?
Some of the more technical skills you may have to take some courses, but everything is done online now, so you can definitely do it on your own. And if you decide to be an expert in videography, video editing, drone video, 3D video, or script writing, or social media posting, in 3 months you can be an expert and a very successful freelancer. You just need determination and a clear goal.
Oh, okay. So, like for example, what you spoke about drone videography is a separate set of skill that you should have, like in terms of being able to fly the drones and then also capturing the right angles and stuff like that. Um,
Exactly.
and do you think
I mean,
that's picking up? I see a lot of these drone videos on YouTube. Is that something which is new? Is there a market there for people?
there's definitely a market for many things that you wouldn't even expect. I mean, the obvious one is the real estate videography, but
Oh,
also
okay.
there are security, there are construction. So, just to review things in construction, you don't want to be going there all the time. Anything that you want to be reviewing remotely, and it has to do with physical structures, you can apply drone videography there if you want. And you can become a very niche, specialized business, a freelancer that offers just drone videography for, uh, you know, condo construction, where you go to large buildings and you fly a drone around and people see how either they show it to clients or it's for the construction people to review every now and then what's going on.
Yeah, I sorry, excuse me. I asked this question because we are four friends who went on a quick trip. I think it was a couple of weeks back, one of the weekends, and we went to one of the nearest waterfalls. It's monsoons here, and we visited this place, and I took some videos of what we did through the trip and put them all together, and which had videos as well as pictures. I thought it was challenging to kind of put all that together and really be able to sequence it, right? Because you start the trip and then you're in the trip and then you halt at different places, and then so it's very difficult to really kind of put all that together. And I found it very challenging, and then I was also thinking about you when we did that, right? This will be something that we want to talk about. So do you think a normal person like you and like you are an expert there, but if I pick up a person and say, hey, why don't you do this from tomorrow? Do you think he can become an expert in video marketing, or pick up at least some components of videography?
Yeah, within a short time frame, 3 to 6 months, depending on what you want to do. I mean, the easiest one is uploading videos and optimize them for YouTube, let's say. So there you need to learn perhaps Canva to how to draw the right images, or how to write the titles with the keywords at the beginning. And there is a lot of content that explains how to do all of these things on YouTube. So you can take a mini course, Coursera, Skillshare. You can learn a lot of these skills very fast these days.
Right. So, uh, Costa, as we kind of come to the concluding part of this podcast, is there? Can you talk a little bit more about your company and tell what you exactly do in terms of your service offerings and stuff that you can look at? What type of people can approach you? What is it that you can do differently from what is being done in the market right now?
Sure. You can reach me on LinkedIn or email, costa@boardstudios.com. Boardstudios.com is the main business. We also have a side business, boostwinrate.com. With Board Studios, we work with startups to help them tell their story and figure out a way to scale video for their goals. And with Boost Win Rate, we work with larger enterprises to help them how to scale video in an organization with their account executives. And we include training, etc. So the main difference is that we take a business approach to video solutions. And we want to first understand your goals, help you stand out and differentiate yourself in the market and communicate that differentiation in a way that closes the value gap between your customer's mind and your solution, but in a very cost effective and scalable way. We want video not to be a one off where you create an explainer video, we give it to you, and then you don't get results or you're disappointed. We want something, and we don't believe that an explainer video by itself will deliver results. We believe that a consistent effort behind video can really help you drive results and grow your business, accelerate your business much more than any other marketing effort. So, starting with that, we want to explain it and convince you and show you why. And then we want to figure out the right strategy that works for your budget and your goals, and then how to scale it cost effectively, either with our help or with freelancers or by bringing things in house.
Sure, that's perfect, Costa. What I'm going to also do is I'm going to, add your details to the podcast, where we upload this, and set up a link if our audience wants to kind of reach out to you, we'll do that as well. Um, it was a pleasure to have you on this podcast, Costa. Thanks for your time. There is so much I think I got learned today, to be honest, and I'm sure our audience will also think the same. It's been a real pleasure talking to you. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you very much. It was my pleasure.
Thanks, Costa. See you then. Bye bye.